We got a comment on yesterday's video from AK the Wump7123. Please review Jock from Golf Busters swing. I'd love your analysis on it. Never heard of this gentleman, so I went out and looked, and boy, do we have a good one today. So stick around, we're going to look at these cause and effects, see if this person can get down to a scratch like he wants to. But either way, this is a free educational channel, so maybe you can look at your swing and see your own cause and effect. There's Jock Buffton from a YouTube channel called Golf Busters. The link is in the description below. If you haven't checked them out, go check them out. This is the first I've heard of them. And yes, I see this swing and I'm looking at it and saying, okay, this is an unusual looking swing. Is it a bad swing? Not at all. I don't think any swing is bad. It could be all over the place, so long as it's consistent. Now, it all comes down to your misses. I do notice on his highlight reels, on those shorts, I've watched a few of them, that he does have a miss that is heavy and also to the left. Being a lefty, we're going to look at what those causes are, how he can maybe sort this out. It has to do with his grip. It has to do with the way he lays the club off, where the centeredness of his swing is. Remember, this channel is just all about how golf swings differ from every single one. So I wouldn't want you to copy this, but maybe just learn a couple things so you can look at your own swing to diagnose it. But let's take a look straight from the get-go. And I couldn't find a direct face on, so this is the face on we're going to deal with. It's more of like a 3/4 face on. And let's sync these up. We will see that he does have that forward press activated, and Ivan Red and Barney Purple will show you that forward press. So we do have an angle to work with. Now, he has a strong grip to complement this, meaning that he's going to get his tilting activated to get his hands out in front to carry that angle correctly without moving over. That's the thing that I see that most amateurs do, and we do see that he does a great job on the right side of the screen here, staying back behind that impact line, and we see that increase of tilting right down to impact to carry his hands to that forward press that he initially started with. So this is actually a pretty good compensation. We see that the club shaft does pass through the hands. The club shaft is here, the hands are out over here, so we don't see any flipping. We see a nice connected. Take a look at Gumby Green. We can see that the shoulders are doing a really good job of tilting and turning, and the hands have caught up to the center. And by the way, he did make a hole-in-one in this swing. Go check it out. It's actually pretty funny. But the left side of the screen, we will see some unusual looking positions. Now, again, unusual, who cares? As long as you do it over and over again. We do see a closed club face at the top, a little rerouting, but I think the best video to look at this is this one right here. This is starting from the beginning to the end. So let's just show you how to look at where your centeredness is and how to navigate that. Doesn't have to be perfect. Initially, when I saw this, I was like, okay, there's two things that can cause heaviness. Is the shoulders tilting too much? He's starting to lose his posture by going down, which obviously brings the earth a little bit higher relative to your center. But you can take a look here. He does not lose much posture. He actually does a really good job. Actually moves up slightly, so that threw it all out the window. So we have to look at why does he tend to hit it a little bit more heavier as he misses. So we have that spine angle line, we have the back brace line to see how we're holding our posture. The big one here though is establishing where your setup plane is, because setup plane is also supposed to complement the starting position. So we take a look at where the centeredness of his heels are, and then take a look at where the centeredness of his swing is. So the yellow line is going to show you where the centeredness of his body is, and we can see it's pretty stable in terms of where that hip joint is. The hip joint's about here, so the hip joint is pretty close to the arches of his heel. However, we do see that the centeredness of his swing plane is a little bit higher. Now, this might create some issues, and we'll take a look at how he works with it. Okay, so now we know that's the centeredness of his plane. We will also make a note that he has a severe strong grip. Now, strong grips are fine if you can tilt and turn and delay that release, because any sort of motion of moving your hands and wrist back, you're going to close that club face. So right when the hands get to about the spine angle, we're going to see where that club shaft is, and let's use Barney Purple. So if we show where that X is, if you put your finger on that club, if I just go like this and put my finger on that club, ask him to let go of that club, we will probably tell which way that club will fall. It'll probably fall toe heavy down. So he is fighting some centeredness of the club head, which is why the hands are raising up to create the feelings of balance. But the problem is when he gets that secondary plane line, we can see the hands are higher, but where are they connected to? Guess where? They're connected right to the centeredness of where those two lines form. So ideally, if you're looking at your setup, you want to try and change your setup so there's less manipulation of the hands and arms, because more manipulation means more timing. The more timing you have, the more time you have to practice to ingrain that timing, unless you have God-given talent and hand-eye coordination. So let's clear some of these lines up because it looks a little ridiculous. But now we know we have a higher hand height, so we are pretty steep. Now we take a look, that club is going to fall fall the other way because of the way it went through. So everything is momentum. So the club falls behind and it's going to work its way back up to the top to find, remember, to find this center point. So we see that club head is trying to find the centeredness of his planes, not necessarily his body centeredness. So now we've got some issues. We see a closed club face in relation to where it should be. So now we're dealing with this much of a closure. Remember, that's grip. That's the strong grip. If we start closing our hands any bit, that ball's going so far right in Mrs. Haffingham's pool that she's going to send out the bridge party to come and get you and put you on a stake. That's not a good place to be. So now we're going to have to navigate that. The first navigation move we see is the arms will drop straight down and pull it down to that lower plane line, which is a good compensation. What also assists this is the shoulders. Watch that shoulder. The shoulder's going to tilt to help that. Now, anytime you have too much tilt and you're pulling the club down, momentum's going to go against you and it's going to start below your plane. Now, all of a sudden, we're coming in shallow. This shallowness, I hate that word, is where his path is. So now his path is going to be struggling left. Now the problem with a left path is the further left you take it, the more odds you're going to hit it heavy, because we're coming inside too much and you're going to hit that ground sooner. You very rarely see amateurs that are lefty with a right path hit it heavy, unless their ball position has shifted so much back that they have to throw. But typically, they hit thin shots, if anything, thin to heavy divots, depending on their angle of attack. So this will definitely give him heavy shots, even if he has a little bit of rotation with the hands, and even more so if he has a little bit of dumping with the hands too early. But now we've got that path issue, and we see that ball will veer out to his left because of that path. But because he's able to hold that club face closed relative to the path, we see that ball will curve back towards his target. So do I think he can get down to a scratch? You know, I'm not here to take anybody's dreams away, but if you were to look to get to scratch, you've got to look at your misses. How many times does that block left cost you strokes? How many times does the duffing cost you strokes? If it overrides your mental errors, if it overrides your short game, then yes, you need to focus on full swing development. You need to figure out how to get that club face to be a little bit weaker, whether through your grip, whether through your compensations in your body. It's usually a bit of both. But this is a great player. He definitely can make this swing work. But let me know what you do in your golf swing. Let me know who you want me to look at next. I always find these swings intriguing. I love looking at golf swings, and I hope you learned something from that. Other than that, I'll see you later. Fairways and greens. A huge thank you to these incredible supporters on the screen and to you watching this video. Your support helps us bring our golf curriculum to low-income children around the world at no cost to them, just like our location in Cape Flat, South Africa, in partnership with the Hillard program. Please like, share, and consider subscribing. Together, we can give the gift of golf to kids who need it the most.